Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do our next to last video from our Disney trip. And this video this layout is also following one of the April virtual crop sketches. This is sketch number 2, which is a single page sketch, which you guessed it, I turned into a double page sketch because that's what I do. And it's mainly of pictures from our last morning there as we got breakfast and prepared to say goodbye and took some group pictures and things like that. So kind of fun. And this is the layout, in case you have forgotten. This is the layout with all the little bitty squares, but I also incorporated some photos into those. So I'll explain more as we get into the layout, but let's check out my workspace and we'll get started with that. Oh, hang on. Before we get too far into our layout for today, I just want to remind you about the drawing that we're doing. We are going to be doing that pretty soon because we are really close to our goals. So please make sure that you are commenting so that you're entered in that drawing. And please make sure that you're sharing my channel with all of your paper scrapping friends so that we can get to that subscriber number that we need to, so we can do the drawing. And when we do the drawing, there will be a special video that will be put out so you can see us draw the name, and there'll be more information at that point in time. But if you need details on what we're doing and why we're doing it, check out the description of the video, and there'll be plenty of information there to explain why we're doing this and what we're doing. All right, thanks so much. Let's check out my workspace and we'll get started now. Thanks. All right, so here is my workspace for today. We just have 2 more layouts and the Disney album will be complete. So I'm super excited about that. This week it will be done. Yay! And I am still trying to catch up and do the last one or last couple of the April virtual crop sketches. As I'm recording this, the May ones are going to be available on Friday. So I'm really excited, and I need to get these done so that I can move on to May. Anyway, today we're going to do sketch number 2 from April, from the virtual crop in April, and this is what it looks like right here. And we're going to do this just a little bit different than it was initially designed, because of course I had to tweak it because of the photos that I had. I had way too many photos to do them this way, and they really weren't conducive, I didn't think, to cutting them in 3.5-inch squares. And so I decided to make them a couple of them part of my border. And so you're going to see how I'm able to do that as we go along here. But I have my permanent and repositionable adhesive handy, as I always try to do that. I have a pencil just in case I need to work something out. I have counted them up, and all of these squares right here measure 1 3/4 inches. And you need 40 of them to do a 2-page spread. So doing the math, that means you need 20 to do a 1-page spread. So with that in mind, according to the way they have done the sketch, it looks like there's probably 3 different prints that they've used. I may use more than that, just because my papers are double-sided and I like both sides sometimes. So we'll see how it all shakes out, but essentially it is a variety of squares around the outside and then 4 photos in the center. So let me go ahead and just flip over to my workspace and grab, I didn't need that cardstock square that was in there. These are the papers I'm going to use, and we're going to just cut a few things. We're going to cut some squares. These are my photos, which I've kind of laid out approximately where I think they're going to go. We'll see when we go to assemble, but I'm just going to go ahead and move these a little bit out of the way so that we can address the elephant in the room, and that is the trimmer today, because we're going to do a lot of trimming. Okay, so that big square in the middle, right here, where the photos are, is 7.5 by 7.5, and these red plaid pages are going to be my 7.5 by 7.5 pages. Okay, and I reserve the right to utilize the rest of the paper that will be left over from these as squares, but probably not the red side because we're going to use that anyway. Okay, so we need 2 7.5-inch squares. Unfortunately, that means I have to use 2 sheets of paper. I cannot get 2 7.5-inch squares out of one 12 by 12-inch piece of paper. I can do a lot of things, but that is not one of them. So, and I'm just going to flip those over to remind me that that is what those papers are going to be for. All right, so we're going to just turn this horizontally and cut again, and we're going to have our 7.5-inch square. All right, so these are our center squares for the photos that go in the middle. Now we're going to make, because of the pictures that I'm adding, I'm going to make 30 1 3/4-inch squares in a variety of papers. But you are going to need 40 if you are not using pictures to replace any of them. If you are using pictures to replace them, the pictures need to measure 1 3/4 by, you can either do 1 3/4 square and replace a square with one photo, or you can measure them 1 3/4 by 3.5, I think is what I figured. So anyway, we're gonna let's figure this out. 1 3/4 is going to be the very last line on the right hand side of my cutting line. The last grid line is 1 3/4. So I'm just going to cut a couple of these into strips, and this is going to take a minute to cut all of these papers into strips. So if I ask really nicely, I bet my editor will speed this up for you, so you don't have to watch me do all of this. All right, so that should do it. Let me bring my pages back in here, and we'll get started with some of this assembly. So you'll notice that rather than having 4 3.5 by 3.5 photos, I have 2 that are 6 by 3.5, and I have one over here that is actually, I think, even longer than that. I think it's the 7. Oh, almost 7. It's 6 7/8 by 3.5, and this is a 3.5 by 3.5. So we're going to see how these will fit on our squares and go ahead and get them situated. So this one ideally is going to go up this way, and this one will be down here. There is not a large gap. The gap between the photos is only about 1/8 of an inch. So keep that in mind when you're mounting your photos. If you want a larger gap, then you'll need to cut your photo down just a little bit to allow for more of a gap. But the layout was designed with a very minimal gap between photos. And if your photos are all the same size, then your border that goes around the edge should be similar in size so that it's not strikingly different. It should be nice and balanced. So there is a story that kind of goes along with these photos. These photos are from the end of our experience in the happiest place on earth. And I'm saying a lot today. Sorry about that. They are from the breakfast the morning that we left to drive back home from Anaheim, California to Utah, our home here in Utah. And we were sad we were leaving the sunshine, and we were sad that we were leaving Disneyland. But this picture of me is significant because I told my kids the story of the fact that when we went to Disneyland as a family, I saw the huge balloon bouquets that they used to walk around with. Do you remember the balloon bouquets that they walked around with years and years ago? And the ones with the balloon inside the balloon? And I told my kids how much I had wanted one of those, and my parents had said that they thought that it was not a good way to spend our money, and I could not argue with them. It wasn't a good way to spend our money, but I had really wanted one, and for some reason that stayed with me. And so as I grew up, I thought that would be so cool to have, but I never got that experience. Not that, you know, I didn't disagree with my parents, please don't get me wrong. They are expensive and they pop, and you know, what's the point, right? But I had really thought they were cool. And of course, when you're a kid, it seems like everybody else has one, right? So anyway, my kids bought one, and it was just really, really fun to have. And so they took my pictures with it here and here and here, and I just thought it was kind of cute. I look like a little kid with my leg wraps because of my swelling, and my balloon, and my lunch, and my backpack. Anyways, goofy, I know. Okay, so I just adhered these center squares. I just centered them visually and put them on there. If you're not comfortable with that, if you feel like you're not going to set them on there well, then go ahead and measure. You know, line your page up on your mat and find your center, and just know that this is 7.5 inches. 7.5 from 12 is 4.5. That gives you 2.25 inches on each side of the square in each direction. 2.25 inches border around the edge. Okay, now I'm going to take these squares that I created, and I'm going to just lay them out and kind of see where they will go. Okay, so if I follow the pattern that they have outlined here, then I can, this one's going to be representing the dark square. So I'm going to just sort of lay it out where they've recommended that it goes, and then we'll see if it stays there. I don't know. I don't know if it will stay or not, but we'll see. Okay, so that's, I'm just gonna kind of lay them where I have, even if I have a photo already in that spot, and then I'll collect them up if I decide that we're not going to use them. Okay, so there's those, and you'll notice I have a few extra, but that's okay. Extra is okay. Now we're going to do these. These are representing kind of a white, the white square. So nope, that went there. This one went here. This one went here. And here. And here. It's a lot. That seems like a lot of white squares. Maybe I didn't do quite enough of this one. And that's kind of what I was concerned about, so we'll see. Let's see. This one. I'm going to remove that and put it over here. Going to remove this one and put it, maybe right here. We'll see. Again, this is a work in progress. We just kind of play with it until we like it. So that's the way it works. Okay. This one's going to represent kind of the medium tone that we have going. And this one is directional. It has trees on it, so I'm just trying to make sure my trees stay going the same direction. All right, so if I uncover my photos completely, I have to decide where this one's going to go. I think it needs to go there. And I think this one can go there, and we'll move this down. Except that I don't know if I like the fact that it's right next to another one here. Maybe it just doesn't matter. I don't want to stress about it. So I'd rather have kind of the flow of the photos going in an organized kind of way. This one I think is missing a square. Because my photo is not. One, two, three, four, five, six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one just needs to move up, and we need more of a boundary between those two. That'll be okay. All right. Am I happy with that? Would I rather do that? Let's flip this plaid and see if the plaid on the other side is better. I don't know if it will be because it doesn't have green in it, and I feel like we kind of need the green in it. But on the other hand, I don't know, this is a little more chaotic. We need a little more red. Oh heavens, I don't know. Okay, We could do one or two of them that are flipped. How's that? So they're not all flipped. So I think we'll flip this one and leave the others. There, then we just have a kind of a variety. And I'm not going to flip any of these because those have red on the back. These have Christmas trees on the back. So we could just really make this crazy and add the Christmas tree in. Let's see if we want to do that. Could do that. That is not in the right spot. Here we go. What do we think? I feel like I need a green here. So maybe what we should do is do this and do that doesn't work out either. I'm just trying to give it kind of the right balance, and I'm struggling. Maybe we need to do like that. Well, I think I'm gonna I don't mean to be so picky, guys. It's just, I don't know, I guess I'm just weird. Okay, I'm gonna stop messing and let's go ahead and get these put down, because in the long run it really probably doesn't matter. So these are going to be 1/4 inch from the edge, and I'm going to put them on with repositionable adhesive so that if I need to pull them off for some reason, if the angles are going wonky or whatever, then I can do that. And so 1/4 inch around the outside, and it looks like maybe 1/8 inch. And we're going to do this bottom row and see. The rows where I have photos are going to be a little bit different because they the photos are one of the measurements on the photos has to be 4 inches because I didn't enlarge them. So because of that, it kind of throws the measurements off a bit. Ooh, and I am not sticking with my initial measurements here, so give me a second, I need to fix this. You can see how they're creeping up. So a good way to keep that from happening, and I'm not following my own advice here, so bear with me because I'm going to get it out so that I can follow my own advice. But a good way to keep your lines a little bit better is to use a 0 centering ruler like this. Okay, so I'm going to turn this way. I'm going to place my zero centering ruler approximately where I want the edge of my papers to be. So these are going to be quarter-inch from the top, quarter-inch from the bottom. And actually I'm going to make mine a little bit more narrow on the top because since I was eyeballing it, remember, I didn't measure, so I have a little bit more space on the bottom than I do on the top, just a tiny bit. So because of that, it's gonna turn out just a little bit different. But I'm gonna go ahead and line this up with the corner, with the edge of these two papers, because those two papers are stuck down, and that will help me gauge where these other papers need to go so that they are straight. Okay, so I can put this right here, right up against that zero centering ruler, and it will stay straight. Should stay straight. Okay, then I'm going to add my photo again right up against that ruler. And this photo, just so that you know, this photo measures 1, 2, 3.5 inches high. So it's 3.5 by 1 3/4. Okay, so that fits, and then you can put 2 squares. If that is helpful for you. Okay, so I'm going to once again use my zero centering ruler and have this square over here kind of be my guide, and we'll go ahead and put this square down so that it's where it needs to be, and then we'll judge where the others need to go off of it. Okay. Okay, so turning that, I'm just going to line my zero centering ruler up on the very edge of these two papers again, because those two are already down. I'm going to take my cues from the other side of my layout as far as spacing goes, and try to just make it match the best I can. This funny picture of Emily. She's squinting her eyes. Okay, so that page is down. Let's work on the other one. And we'll just speed this up so you don't have to watch it all go down. Okay, so I just lifted this center square off because I noticed that it was not centered very well. Sometimes I have a decent eye and I can do it without measuring, and other times I don't. So this was one of those times where I just didn't quite do it on target. So that works much better to go ahead and just lift it up and adjust it, which I probably could do on this page as well. And then that way there'll be a better, more even border around the center square in the middle. I need to kind of move this down just a tad. There. I think that works. All right, so now we're just going to add some embellishments and then it'll be ready for journaling. So I'm going to stick those things away. And I took kind of a look at stickers I had left that I could use on this, and found some that are cute. These are from the last year's, not this past year, but 2022, with the nutcrackers, you'll recall. And so I'm going to put this sticker kind of just off to the side, and we're going to add Santa and just jazz this up a wee bit. We're going to add, maybe we'll add Santa right in here. And then we can do a little bit of basic journaling right there. We can do a little bit of journaling across here or across here. And that'll be lovely. And let's see, we're going to put a star at the top of the tree because stars are needed at the top of the tree. I think we'll use one of these, actually. The fancy dancy ones. Big ones. Like that. Okay, then I've got Memories of the Holiday Season, and this one comes from, I don't remember which holiday pack this one comes from. I apologize, but we're just going to use this one and put a little something right up here. And then I already added some foam squares on the back of these little guys. I just thought would be kind of cool to do. Love, peace, and joy. And then we're going to add blessed down here with a little candy and a star. Like that. And then believe is going to go over here with Santa. Maybe just right on top of the presents. Right there. All right, so those are our embellishments for this page. And this again is the virtual crop sketch from April, sketch number 2. That was a 1-page sketch that we turned into a 2-page sketch. Let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure that you have subscribed to my channel, please. That will help me out. And make sure that you comment so I can enter you in the drawing. And if you need details on that, just check in the description for the video and you'll have all the information you ever want. Thanks so much for joining me today, and until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Have a great day.